everybody, this is Erico back again on your computer screen. You know I'm always coming at you with food for thought for your brain. So be sure to subscribe because you can hear different opinions from different perspectives on East Asian news, pop culture. Like this video because it helps out a lot. You can also dislike this video, but it's okay. Opposition should always make us stronger because life is not always going to be good to us or pat us on the back. And that ties into what I want to talk about today. Me being a person that has always liked something that is different from other people. I've always had hobbies outside of the norm. So I've always been around people that haven't always been very supportive. Not so much my family, but just running into different people. When I decided I wanted to learn Korean and really take it seriously and learn it fluently, I ran into a select few Korean people along the way who weren't as supportive of me, especially me not being Korean, learning Korean and saying I wanted to be a translator or I wanted to get more in depth in the culture. I remember going from Korean church to Korean church and the Korean churches just being like, no, we can't help you. And me being like, okay, why can't you? Like, can I just take a beginning class? And they would tell me, no, we're full, or no, we can't do it. And I'm like, this is supposed to be like a church for Christians and God's supposed to be open to everybody. But a lot of the churches weren't. I finally found like a smaller church that I talked to the pastor on the phone. It was very funny, you guys, because I would call and then I don't know if they didn't want to talk to me because I was speaking English. My Korean wasn't good at all at the time, or they were afraid of English and they would hang up. Then I would call again. Someone would pick up the phone and like say hello in Korean and then hang up again. I even tried to go to the Korean Research Center in my state, and my Korean was so botched up at the time and I never got a call back. It might have been because they couldn't understand my Korean, but you would think there would be someone that spoke English, or like maybe this person is trying to learn Korean. I think my Korean was still good enough that they could understand like, I want to study Korean, I want to do this. But you know, a lot of the Korean people didn't really reach out to me. So back to me going to this church. I went to this church finally getting an actual call where we actually talked, me and this pastor, and it was still funny. It was like, okay, hello, hi, I called you, you hung up on me. And he was like, no, you called me. I'm like, no, you hung up on me. He's like, no, I didn't. And I'm just like, okay, so this is what I want to do. He was like, okay, you can come in. I came in. He saw that I wasn't Korean or, you know, someone that they were used to seeing, and I told him what I wanted to do. I was like, I want to be a translator in the future. I want to start learning Korean, reading Korean, speaking basic Korean. He was like, we don't need you to be a translator because we have Korean Americans. And I was like, okay. Many Korean Americans don't even speak Korean that well in actuality. So what now? Like, I still want to learn to speak Korean. But he was like, I guess he saw that I was persistent. And he was like, okay, well, we will try to get you in a class. But then it was like, when we were trying to discuss plans, it was kind of like, okay, well, you're not going to be in this class or this class or this class. So eventually the pastor of the church was like, I'm just going to teach you one-on-one. I'm like, okay, I see kids my age going into like classes and stuff like that, but obviously maybe you want to segregate me. I don't know, maybe I'm an experiment. But I'm like, whatever, I'm still going to learn. I'm still going to do my best at this because it's something I'm interested in. Meanwhile, a lot of my other friends that were from the same racial background as me started out learning Korean, and you know, they were kind of like, wow, like you're actually going deep into it, because like we just assumed that we would be outcast and not liked because of the color of our skin. I started taking the classes. It was like a summer program thing. I would go there, it was hot. And you know, I really was into it. Pastor took a liking to me. It was very awkward the first few weeks going to this church because everybody stared at me. They made like kind of side mouth comments about me and my racial background, and I'm just like, I can hear you. Like, I have 2 ears. I can hear. I'm not disabled. I heard what you said, but it's okay. It's fine. You know, I'm doing this for myself mostly. That's why I always tell people, do stuff for yourself no matter what anybody says about you. So we went along from there. I ended up actually going to this church and working my way up, meeting people. Meanwhile, there was still a lot of like, it wasn't really welcoming because I felt that I was left out of things and people didn't really communicate with me like they communicated to the other people in their own racial group. And a lot of times I was left in the hall by myself, and you know, they were going about their own devices. Finally, someone was brave enough to come up to me and be like, why are you sitting out here by yourself? I'm like, because nobody told me what's going on. That's why I'm sitting out here by myself. And it's like, yeah, you know, we have like Bible study and stuff for your age group. And I'm just like, so that's where all those teenagers and people were going. Okay, it's fine. You know, so I was in there, met people. They warmed up to me eventually, but it was still, I felt so like I was some type of beast or monster though. Like I wasn't human like them. You know how, like, if you don't know, in the Korean culture, they have these rules in their social norms where if they don't know you,
you don't exist.
So it means like they will literally stand in front of you and look through you. They will literally stand next to you and you do not exist if they have never ever talked to you or been introduced to you. And it was very weird and hard for me to adjust to, but then I finally realized, you know, I'm gonna have to be the one to put myself out there and talk to people, because otherwise they're not gonna talk to me. I remember sitting at the table and then putting out like the chopsticks, and when the person would get to me, they'd be like and I'm like, calm down, like it's okay, I'm human, I'm not gonna do anything to you. My black isn't gonna rub off on you. I'm not going to bite you. You'll be okay. And then it went from there to me really becoming friends with the co-pastor and going to certain events. I ended up joining the choir, singing in all Korean, you guys. No English whatsoever. They accepted me. That was kind of like, okay, you know, he's of this racial background and this racial background can sing well, so you know, we take you, we see that you can actually sing, come on. Every time they had some type of event with different churches, I would be like, you know, the commodity. I'd be sitting up there singing, people would be looking like like, oh my goodness, he's singing in like almost perfect Korean. Oh my god, like really, that was the thing. I mean, even the camera is floored by that. Like, the camera tilted. It was still something where it was a buildup of being kind of bad, and it affected me somewhat, but I was always strong enough to be like, okay, I'm gonna hang in there. There was a time where I was like, I'm not coming back, because it got to the point where I was just so tired of feeling like I didn't exist, or, you know, I wasn't actually a part of it because of my racial identity. And I said I wasn't gonna just do it anymore. I was done. But then at the same time, I was like, I'm not gonna clock out of this because this is what I really want to do. So I went back. There was still other stuff said about my racial background, my people, and this stuff was just so ignorant. Like, they would say stuff about how my racial background was named, how we act, our skin color. And mind you, it wasn't everybody in the church, and I believe that there were people in the church who knew that this type of talk was wrong, but they didn't really say anything about it. They would sometimes I would be in the room and I would just sit there and look, and I'd be like, really? And I think like they realized that it was disrespectful and insulting, and they kind of realized that it was wrong, I went directly to the higher ups and I was just like, this is wrong. Eventually I had a long talk with the co-pastor. Co-pastor got where I was coming from. We had like a heart-to-heart conversation about, just my racial background and how we feel with some Korean people and how we were treated, and he told me like why that was, and we came to a common understanding, and I was happy about that. He really had his eyes open, so like when stuff happened after that, he was calling it out. I was very happy that he did. I don't know if he needed like a okay to do it, or maybe he was afraid to at first, but it's like, you don't know me, you don't know every single person in my racial background to judge everybody. So when you sit there and you say, oh, I hate this person, or they're annoying, and I can hear them say it, and then we went out for ice cream, and this one girl like worked with a whole bunch of black people, so she was saying like, oh, they talk like this, and they're funny, and they were making fun of the darker skinned Korean guy that was there and saying that you're almost like a black person, and he was just like why? Like, why are you all doing this? Like, you all aren't funny. And I was sitting there, I'm like, I'm the actual black person. And they were trying to laugh it off like it was funny. I'm like, this isn't funny. It's hurtful. Like, my skin color is not a joke. My skin color is not something to make fun of. My skin color is just like your skin color, anyone else's skin color, that can be seen as beautiful, and it is acceptable. Loving yourself, no matter what people say, is always contagious. People will be drawn to you because no matter what people say, you will always have your head held high. You will always do what you want to do. Your decisions will not be dictated by how people feel about you. And when you go to Korea, for people that want to go, this will have a major part in your life and how you look at life as you live there. There will be people that will stare at you and have stuff to say that to them might not be ignorant, but it is kind of ignorant, and you have to learn to still be beautiful in the melanin that you were in. I might be the opposite. You know what? I'm still gonna go experience this culture in this language, learn it for myself, to say that I am educated and I am well-rounded, and nobody's gonna make me stop. Nobody's gonna make me fear anybody or anything like that. Continue to be you and who you are. And black comes in many different shapes and forms and personalities and walks of life. Remember that, and don't ever let anybody put a label on you. You're allowed to be whatever kind of black you want to be. I'm speaking to my own race right now, and I mean that. I love who I am. I love what I see in the mirror. You might not like me, and which also leads me to people that say, well, why do you like East Asian stuff, and that they don't like people of our color. So I don't understand why you constantly are interested in it as a hobby. And I always say the same thing. I do it for myself. Just like how Korean people, Japanese, Chinese people like hip-hop and R&B and soul music and the way we dress and talk, and they adapt it into their culture. It's the same thing for me. Why can I not have that right? But at the same time, I will always stand up for my own race. I will always have something to say. So you guys, this is definitely a lot to think about, and you guys should, anyone, no matter what race you're in, think about this whole thing that's going on, and understanding other racial groups. And I mean genuinely understanding, not saying it just because you get brownie points. So yeah, you guys, follow my social media, mostly my Instagram. Also, I have a blog on East Asian pop culture. The link is always down in the description box below. And remember, be real, stay real, live in the real, and I will always be back.